Hi, yogis. I'm so excited to be bringing you a practice today from the beautiful Doi Inthanon National Park in Chiang Mai. In today's practice, I'll be taking you through an all levels yoga class. So let's get started. We'll start on our backs. So let's slowly lower ourselves down onto the mat. Nice and slowly with control, lowering the head and relaxing through the shoulders. Maybe extending the legs out nice and long, or you can keep a nice bend in the knees. Resting the arms down by your sides. And we'll just nod the head from side to side, releasing any tension that we might be holding in our neck and our jaw. Finding stillness in the head and relaxing through the whole body. Feeling yourself letting go of whatever you might have brought to your practice today. Anything you're feeling physically, any emotions, any thoughts or feelings. Seeing if you can release and let go. Give yourself permission to do so. Taking a nice deep breath into the lungs, filling up the belly, and exhaling fully through the nose or mouth. Drawing your belly button in towards your spine. And we'll take a few more breaths just like this, signaling to the body that it's time to relax. And you may like to flutter the eyes open as we draw the heels together and extend the arms up. So we're going to lift our arms up from our sides and reach them over our heads, interlacing the fingers behind the head. And we'll press the fingers and hands away from the body as we point through the toes and engage through all of the muscles in our body, really tensing, taking a nice deep breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth with a big sigh. Releasing every muscle in the body and feeling your body melting into the mat. Good. We'll take a little bend in the knees, bring our arms out to the sides, and just allow the legs to fall down to the left side of the mat. Coming into a spinal twist. We'll inhale the legs back to center and exhale the legs to the right. Inhale back to center, picking up both feet and hugging the knees into the body, taking a hold around the shins. And we'll just rock gently from side to side, massaging the lower back. Good. Finding stillness here, hugging the knees in a little more if you can, and then we'll take a nice deep breath in. And on an exhale, we'll start to lift the head and shoulders off the mat, drawing our knee to our nose. Inhale to lower the head all the way down. Exhale to raise our head, nose to knee. Inhale to lower. Exhale, last one, nose to knee. Inhale to lower our head all the way down. We'll keep the left leg hugging in as we extend the right toes nice and long. Maybe you can bring your heel all the way down to the mat. And we'll find some little circles in our left ankle, circling one way and the other way. Good. And then we can take a bend through the right knee and see if we can extend our left toes nice and long all the way up to the sky. Taking a hold around the back of your left thigh, or maybe a little higher up the leg, And we'll see if we can draw the leg in towards our body, keeping our shoulders and head in contact with the mat. And feeling a nice stretch up the back of your legs. Good. We'll inhale. And exhale to gently start to release. And then we can hook our left ankle over our bent right knee. And press the left knee away from the body, preparing for our reclined pigeon. And this might be enough for you today, or you might like to pick up your right foot off the mat. Thread your left arm through the gap between your legs and take a hold around your right leg, either behind the thigh or maybe around the shin. Seeing if we can draw the legs in towards the body, still pressing the shoulders down into the mat. Feeling a lovely stretch, traveling up your left hip flexor. Inhale. And exhale to lower the feet all the way down to the mat. We'll uncross the hold of the leg and we'll walk our feet in towards us and see if you can tickle the backs of your ankles. Arms by the sides, palms facing down. And we'll gently start to press into the soles of our feet and our heels to lift our hips up off the mat. So you will feel your hips start to lift off the mat. And then imagine that you're rolling inch by inch up your spine to come and rest on your shoulders. So you've lifted the majority of your low back off the mat. And when you get to the top, gently engaging through the glutes to protect your lower back. So you press your hips up, tucking the chin, and we'll take a nice deep breath in and you might see your belly rise. And exhale, drawing the belly button in towards the spine. And then we'll start to lower, reversing the direction of the spine, lowering inch by inch, imagining each vertebrae connecting to the mat one by one. And eventually coming to rest on the pelvis. Good. Okay, and now we're going to hug our right knee in towards the body, taking a hold around the shin and extend the left toes nice and long, maybe bringing the left heel down to the mat. Holding here for a moment. And then we'll take some little ankle rolls with the right ankle, one way and the other way. Good. And we'll take a bend through the left knee and extend the right toes up to the sky, taking a hold around the back of your right thigh or maybe somewhere higher up the leg towards the foot. Drawing the leg in towards the body, feeling a lovely stretch down the back of the leg. The right leg might be straight, but it doesn't need to be perfectly straight here. The most important thing is that you feel the stretch down the leg. Inhale and exhale to gently release. We'll this time hook our right ankle over our left knee, pressing the right knee away. Option to stay here, or we'll come into our reclined pigeon on this side. Lovely hip stretch. So we're threading the right arm through the gap and taking hold either around the back of the left thigh or shin. Holding here. Feeling a lovely stretch traveling up your right hip flexor. Inhale and exhale to gently release. We'll place both feet down on the mat, walking the feet in a little bit closer to your seat, maybe tickling the backs of the heels, making sure our feet are around hip width distance apart, as are our knees. And then when we come into our bridge pose, the tendency is for the knees to fall out to the sides. So just making sure we're really engaging through the body here to make sure that this doesn't happen. So we'll place our hands down by our sides, start to press into the heels to lift the hips up off the mat, rolling up the spine and coming to rest on the shoulders. This time, option to see if you can interlace the fingers underneath your hips, your pelvis, as you engage the glutes to press the hips up. Checking in with the knees, making sure they haven't splayed out to the side and they're tracking nicely. And we'll tuck the chin and take a nice deep breath through the nose if you can and watch the belly rise. And exhale, drawing belly button to your spine. We'll unlock the fingers if you had them laced together and start to roll down the spine inch by inch, vertebra by vertebra, all the way down onto our hips. Good. And we'll hug the knees in towards the body. Give ourselves a nice body hug here. Good. And extend the feet nice and long. We're going to prepare with a little back bend now. So lifting up one of our hips and then the other. Hugging the elbows into the body, spreading the fingers under your seat, and we'll point through the toes. And then on an inhale, we'll start to lift the head, lift the body until we find a nice tilt. And we're looking over our toes. And you might like to stay here today, or you can come into the pose a little more, starting to open up through the chest, squeezing the shoulders together, squeezing the shoulder blades together, opening through the chest and looking up to the sky. Option to stay here. We've started to open up the heart space. If you'd like to take it a little further and it's okay for your neck, we can start to look a little further behind us, sending the gaze behind, opening up more through the chest as you do so, and maybe bringing your head, the crown of your head, towards the mat. Inhale to open up a little more. Exhale to release through your heart space. Inhale. And on an exhale, we'll start to slowly release wherever you are in this pose, lifting the head and coming back to looking over the toes. Good. And on an exhale, we'll start to lower all the way down. Head is in contact with the mat as we lift up our hips to release the hands. Taking some little circles with the wrists, and then we'll interlace our fingers together, lift our head up, and just pop our hands behind our head, extending the elbows out to the sides and letting the head fall down for a moment. And then we'll use the strength of our hands to lift our head up, just to stretch through the neck. Looking forwards, we'll take it to the right, keeping the elbows separated, and back to center, and over to the other side. Back to the center. And we'll exhale to gently lower the head all the way down. We'll take our knees over our forehead if we can and see if we can rock up into our seat with our legs extended out in front of us. You can use your hands just to pull your seat back a little bit, just to find some extra length in the legs. We'll flex through our feet just for a moment to fire up the backs of the legs. Good. Finding our staff pose, Tadasana. We can inhale to extend our arms up and overhead, biceps by the ears. Full body engagement. Inhale, and on an exhale, we'll start to hinge from our hips and reach towards our toes. And you might be able to reach all the way to your toes and take hold and fold your body all the way down to your legs. Or if your mobility doesn't allow, once you've found your maximum, you can fold over the legs, just like me. I hold a lot of tension in my hamstrings and my hips, as I'm also a runner. And so this pose is always challenging for me, especially when I'm comparing myself to looking like the pictures. But what's important is that you work with your body's maximum in these poses. Holding here. And then we'll start to inhale to lift all the way back up. Finding our staff pose, engaging through the feet, flexing here. And exhale to bring our hands just behind our seat. So we're going to place the palms of the hands where the fingers can be facing forwards or backwards. For me, I find it more comfortable with my fingers pointing forwards towards my body. And then we can start to press into the hands, press into the heels to lift the hips up off the mat, coming into our counter stretch. We can point through the toes. Option to take a bend through the knees and find a reverse tabletop here. So just working with what feels good for your body, lengthening through the arms, engaging through the glutes, pressing down evenly in the feet. Inhale and exhale to lower all the way down to the mat. Good. And we'll cross at the ankles and roll onto our hands and knees, coming into our tabletop position. Spreading through the hands. Shoulders are directly over the wrists, hips over the knees, and we're pressing the tops of our feet down into the mat. Always important to have a strong foundation in this pose. Really lengthening through the arms as well. And we'll take some cat-cows to warm up our spine. So on an in-breath, we'll send the belly down towards the mat, lifting the tailbone, lifting our gaze. Exhale, we'll start to round, pointing the tailbone down towards the mat. Tucking our chin underneath, rolling and rounding through our spine. Inhale to drop our belly, lifting the gaze and the tailbone. Exhale, we'll round through the spine, tucking our chin underneath. Inhale and exhale. Coming back to a neutral spine, we'll start to lift our right toes and send our toes nice and long towards the back of the mat, pointing the toes down towards the mat. So we're flexing through the foot. And then we'll see if we can lift up our left hand, so the opposite hand to foot, and come into a balance here. So really reaching through the fingers, imagining a nice long line from the tip of your fingers to the tip of your heel. Good. Option to stay here, keeping it nice and strong through the core, or we might like to see if we can take a nice bend through the right knee. So there's a right angle bend in the knee. And then see if we can sweep our left hand all the way back. Take a hold of the foot, or maybe you could start to reach towards the foot. And if you can, taking a hold and then press your foot into your hand, coming into our tiger pose. This is a nice back bend as well. Holding here, inhale, and exhale to release the foot. If you have it, bring the left hand all the way around to the front, extend the right foot. We'll place the left hand down on the mat, keeping our right leg extended. And then we can inhale and exhale to squeeze the right knee underneath, knee to nose. Inhale to kick back the right heel and lift the gaze. And exhale to squeeze. Last one, inhale to lift. And we'll exhale to squeeze it under. And we'll step all the way through to frame the right foot with the hands, coming into our crescent lunge. So we can come up onto tented fingers here and see if we can lift our chest. Good. And then see if we can bring our hands up to rest nice and lightly on our right thigh. And from here, we can lightly and gently press our hips a little bit further down towards the mat, stretching through the connective tissues in the hips and the thighs. Now you want to imagine that there's an imaginary midline traveling through here, and we can rotate the thighs in towards that midline. Just taking a moment to imagine that. Option to stay here, or on an inhale, we can sweep the arms back, forwards and up, finding our crescent lunge, looking up to the hands, really reaching. Inhale and exhale to rain the fingers down. I'm going to plant our palms on the mat and gently step the front foot back to meet in our tabletop position on the mat. Holding here, and then we can extend our left leg out nice and long. Holding here, pointing the toes all the way down. And on an in-breath, we'll lift our right hand up, reaching the fingertips forwards. Imagining a nice straight line from your tips of your fingers to the tip of your heel. Good. Option to stay here, keeping nice and strong through the core, or we can take a bend through the knee and sweep the right hand back, reaching towards the foot, maybe taking hold, pressing the foot into the hand. Tiger. Inhale and exhale to gently release. Bringing the right hand down, keeping the left leg extended. And we'll exhale to draw the knee to nose, round through the spine. Inhale to kick it back, looking up. Exhale to round. Inhale. Good. And exhale. And this time we'll step the left toes in between the hands, coming up onto tentative fingers, lifting through the chest. Option to place the hands lightly on the left thigh and press our hips down. Further option to sweep the arms all the way up and overhead. Really reaching. Coming into our crescent lunge. Inhale and exhale to bring the hands down, planting both hands firmly, and we'll step back to tabletop, taking the knees nice and wide, bringing our big toes together and setting the hips back on the heels, reaching with the hands, finding our extended child's pose, bringing our forehead to the mat, and taking a couple of breaths, reaching through the shoulders and the arms. On an inhale, we'll look forward to the top of the mat, lift the hips up, and we'll come into our first downward facing dog. So we'll tuck our toes underneath and walk the hands forwards about a hand width. Start to press down into the toes to hover the heels about an inch off the mat. And then we'll send our hips nice and high over the heels. Really reaching through the arms, and we can take a nice bend through the knees here. So as to not put too much pressure on the legs. That's not the goal of this pose. You actually want to really reach through the arms and point the tailbone up towards the sky. Our head is heavy. We're not holding any tension here in the neck or the jaw or the shoulders. Our gaze is towards our knees. Good. And then we'll look to the top of the mat and walk the feet to meet the hands at the top. Feet are about hip width distance apart. And we'll stay here in a nice forward fold. So we still have a generous bend in the knees, pressing the tummy in towards the thighs, letting the head hang nice and heavy. You should start to feel the backs of the legs firing up. And then we'll see if we can straighten through the legs and start to lift the body up and stack the spine, one vertebra on top of another, all the way up to standing. Then we'll roll the shoulders a couple of times, down and away from the ears. Tucking our tailbone under slightly, imagining that your chin is parallel to the mat. Opening up through the heart space. Good. We'll come into a nice balancing pose here. So taking our left foot and grounding down. So we really want to be spreading our weight evenly in our left foot and really drawing energy up from the earth. With our right foot, we'll come nice and light. Draw the toe towards the inside edge of the left leg. Option to stay here and really start to open up through the hip, or you might be able to move the foot slowly up the inside edge of the left leg. Nice and slowly coming to rest. So it might be below the knee or above the knee. But wherever you come to rest, make sure you're not resting on the knee joint because it might get pushed out to the side, and that's not what we want for our lovely knee joints. So You can always use your right arm to guide the leg up a little more. Find a resting position in your tree pose. And we want to be guiding that right knee out to the side wherever we are, just to open up the hip. Finding a space in front of you, a spot on the wall or in the distance to focus on. Your drishti. Finding balance. And you might like to draw your hands to your heart center in our tree pose. Good. Holding here. Finding strength and stability. We'll take a nice breath in and then exhale to gently release out of our tree pose and prepare for our sun salutations, coming to the top of the mat. Feet are about hip width distance apart, and we'll inhale the arms all the way up overhead, biceps by the ears, gently engage the glutes to press the hips forwards, looking up. On an exhale, we'll start to fold all the way down, finding our forward fold. Nice, generous bend in the knees, head is heavy. On an inhale, we'll place our hands on our shins and start to straighten through the legs and straighten through the back, looking towards the horizon. On an exhale, we'll fold once more, planting the hands, and we'll step one foot back and the other, finding our plank pose. So making sure our fingers are spread and our shoulders are directly over the wrists. You can always drop the knees if that's easier for you and you don't have gravity on your side, or we can stay in our full plank position, making sure the hips are nice and low. The toes are tucked, holding here. And then on an exhale, we'll start to bend through the elbows, keeping them hugging in towards the body, all the way down onto our belly. Untuck the toes. And finding our hands underneath our shoulders or hug our elbows all the way into the ribs. Rest on our chin. And see if we can lift the chin and lift the chest, finding a baby cobra. Exhaling to lower the chin. We'll do the same again, lifting the chin, lifting the chest, and this time pressing into the hands to find a little bit more lift. But we're keeping our pubic bone in contact with the mat. Spreading the toes a little and engaging through the glutes, finding our back bend. Nice, generous bend at the elbows. Inhale, exhale to lower down. We'll press into the hands to lift up our body, coming to tabletop for a moment, and then finding our way to downward facing dog, tucking the toes under, reaching through the arms, lifting the hips over the heels. Head is heavy. Maybe pressing the heels down just a little, or paddling through the feet so we can bend one knee, straighten the other, and then alternate. Good. Then we'll look to the top of the mat and walk the toes all the way to the top. Keeping a nice bend in the knee, forward fold, head is heavy. On an inhale, we're going to start to straighten through the legs, stack the spine, lift the arms all the way up and overhead, pressing the hips forwards, gentle engagement of the glutes. Exhale to lower the hands to our sides, finding our mountain pose. We'll come into tree pose on the other side, grounding through the right foot, nice evenly spread in terms of our weight. And then we'll bring our left toes to the inside edge of the right leg, drawing the foot all the way up the inside of the leg. So it should either be below the knee or somewhere above the knee on the inside of the thigh. You can use your left hand to guide the leg a little more. And wherever you are, pressing the left knee out to the side. Opening up through the hip. Good. Maybe bringing your hands to your heart center as you find a spot on the wall or in front of you to focus on. Finding your balance. Inhale, and on an exhale, we'll gently release the legs, release the hands, coming to the top of the mat. We'll inhale, the arms come up, gently engage the glutes to press the hips forwards. Exhale to rain the hands all the way down, generous bend in the knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, placing the hands on the shins, straightening the legs flat back, looking forwards. Exhale to fold it down, plant the hands, step one foot back and the other, finding plank or your variation with the knees lowered, holding here. We exhale to lower all the way down to the mat. Inhale, lifting the chin, lifting the chest, and pressing into the hands, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pressing all the way up, hips over the heels. Good. And then we're going to hold it here for a few breaths, taking any little adjustments that feel good for your body. And then we'll gently start to lower onto the knees. Good. Swinging the feet out in front of us and finding ourselves on our seat. We'll take a hold behind the backs of the knees and start to lift one leg and lower it down. Lifting the other leg and lowering. Once more on each side. Good. And then we'll lift both toes up off the mat, squeezing the tummy in towards the thighs. So really engaging through the core here. Good. Maybe letting go of the hold of the legs. And maybe extending the legs nice and long so that your body and your legs create a nice V formation. Just depends on the mobility of your hips and your hamstrings. Inhale, holding here. And exhale, we'll release the feet and the hands down to the mat and make our way down to our backs, nice and slowly with control. Good. And we'll just slow down our practice, stretching out through the hips and the spine. So we'll bend in the knees, bringing the soles of the feet together, and then extend the right toes and cross at the knees. So we're stacking right knee over the left, taking the arms out to the sides and allowing the legs to fall down to the right side. Looking over your left shoulder. Inhale. And exhale back to center. We'll keep the knees stacked, pick up the feet, and then see if we can take a hold somewhere on the legs or around the ankles, feet, and drawing the heels apart and bringing them closer in towards your hips for our reclined shoelace pose. Inhale and exhale to release. We'll bring the left foot to the mat and uncross the right knee. Crossing the legs the other way, stacking the left knee on the right, taking the arms out, and we'll allow the legs to fall to the left side and look over our right shoulder. Inhale and exhale. Inhale back to center. We'll pick up the feet and take hold somewhere on the legs or on the feet or the ankles, drawing the heels apart and towards you. You should feel a nice stretch in the hips. Inhale and exhale to release. Bringing the left foot down, unstacking the knees, uncrossing the legs, unhugging the knees in towards the body. Full body stretch, full body hug. Rocking from side to side. And then we'll find our way to our final relaxation pose. You can keep bending the knees. Traditional Shavasana, extending out the legs nice and long. Feet about shoulder width distance apart as you allow the feet to fall out to the sides. Arms by the sides, palms facing up. And we'll just nod the head from side to side, making sure you're not holding any tension. Closing the eyes and bringing our awareness to the space between our eyebrows, Anya chakra. And we'll connect once more to the breath. Filling up the belly, filling up the lungs, then exhaling fully. Noticing how your body feels after your practice today. And when you're ready, rolling onto one side on the mat. Hugging the knees into the body. And then pressing into the hand to come up to a nice seat on the mat. Finding a nice comfortable seat, taking any little movements that feel good after your practice. Taking a nice cleansing breath. And we can bring our hands to our heart center and thank ourselves for our practice today. Worked really hard. Namaste, yogis. Thank you so much for joining me. I really look forward to seeing you in the next class.